Boomer watching the game and me watching the game on Saturday, of course, people are going to overreact to the pick six. But after that, getting the ball down the field, looked like he had clean pockets. I mean, there's going to be mistakes in preseason games, but I feel like after that, you guys looked very aggressive and great on offense. What was your take after the pick six?
Yeah, obviously a little shaky start. First time back out there in a while, and a little shaky. Obviously can't afford to make those mistakes. But I thought once, we got going in the second quarter and got some things going, pushed the ball down the field, guys make some good plays. Like you said, the offensive line did a really good job protecting, and felt like we had a pretty good rhythm. So good to feel that and something to build on.
Daniel, I'm thinking after that first interception, you're on the ground. You know that it's intercepted, and you're thinking, oh, my God, I got to walk over and talk to Dabes about this. That miserable feeling, and I try to explain to these guys because I've done it myself, the miserable feeling of throwing an interception, it ends up as a touchdown. It's probably the last thing that anybody wants. The feeling that you have walking to the sideline and looking at Brian Dable in that conversation that you're about to have with him.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, from playing the position, it's not something you look forward to, but I think it being, a preseason game and first time out there, it was a little bit different of a conversation, and it was just, let's get back out there, let's keep going, let's keep slinging it, and make some plays. That's what we did, and felt good to get it going.
All right, so let me ask you, did you watch the off-season Hard Knocks? Did you watch that?
I did, yeah. I watched it.
Okay, so how did you feel about those guys, meaning Joe Shane and Brian Dable, openly talking about possibly trading up for one of these young quarterbacks?
Yeah, I've talked about this. This has obviously been something I've been asked about a lot to this point, and you don't feel great about it. It's not something you want to watch or excited to see for sure. So, but it's part of the business in the NFL, and I understand that. And my job is to focus on what I'm doing and to lock in and get ready to go play the best football I can. So. No, I wasn't happy about it, but it's part of it, and I understand that.
Good for you because it's your team, it's your reputation, and you're the one that's got to be the leader, and you got to be the unquestioned leader. When did you have your surgery last year? What was it? In the early November or
late November?
Late November.
Yeah.
So you're actually ahead of schedule by all accounts, and you're on the field and you're going full on. I mean, you obviously realize that this is a very, very important year for you personally.
Yeah, absolutely. The rehab process went well, and lucky to have the staff that we have, doctors, trainers, coaches, everybody here, help me out a ton. So feel good about the knee, and I'm excited about this year. I feel really good physically, and feel good about the camp we've had.
Boomer and Gio with Daniel Jones on the Fan and CBS Sports Network. When you go out there and live game action for the first time post ACL, are you thinking about it, or is it, you dealt with other injuries, but ACL is a big deal, a lot of rehab. You went through a grueling off season. Was it in your mind when you were out there, or was it football just football?
I think maybe the first snap or two you're thinking about it a little bit, but I think more just playing again, the speed of the game. Hadn't been out there for a while. I think that's kind of more what you're trying to get used to and back in the swing of things. But I felt good about my knee. Through the process, I tested it and felt good about where I was and knew I could do everything I needed to do. So I wasn't overly concerned about the knee as much, just kind of getting back in the swing of playing and used to the speed of the game.
Coach Dable told us in OTAs, now in summer camp, you guys have been working on moving this ball down the field, throwing it down the field. And, it looks like Darius Slayton and you are back right where you always were. I think you guys have a connection there, but it looks like Malik Neighbors is the real deal. What's your impressions of him thus far? You played in a game with him. You've watched him out on the practice field. How do you think he's going to do his rookie season?
I think he'll do well. He's made a lot of plays for us. Obviously extremely talented, and I think his strength and ability to go up and get the ball in some situations will definitely help us. And we got to put that on the field on Sundays. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about him. I think our whole group, like you said, Darius has done a good job. Jalen, Wandell, all those guys have had really good camps.
So from my perspective in watching your career, after the year where you win the playoff game, you beat Minnesota, best game of your career, arguably, and then you end up losing to the Eagles, you get the big contract. It's almost like an exhale. Like, I did it. I didn't get the fifth-year option picked up. I played great. I got my contract. And now, you go through a year where you get hurt, and then you watch on Hard Knocks how your general manager is evaluating other quarterbacks. You're like, man, I'm right back here again where I got to prove myself again. Is that a fair assessment of how you've looked at the last 2 or 3 years of your career?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're always trying to prove yourself. I think even after the playoff season in 22, get the contract. A lot of people have things to say about the contract. I think you're still trying to prove yourself. You're always proving yourself. I felt like that, is kind of the nature of the NFL in a lot of ways, and it's been my experience. So, my preparation and how I view the season or certainly getting ready for it, working in the off season, working at practice is, always of the mindset that I'm trying to prove myself.
I'm trying to think. You get hurt in the middle of the season last year. That had to be an awfully long year listening to everybody just talking about the Giant quarterback situation, your future here. You got to block out the noise sooner or later. How are you able to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't listen to it. I don't seek it out or try to pay much attention to it. I think you get a sense for what's being said by your interaction, at your press conferences, and your family and friends, will kind of you get a sense of what's being said. But I don't seek it out, and I'm focused on what I'm doing. I think you got to be able to do that in the NFL, especially here in New York, and that's something I've gotten better at over the years. And it's about what happens here. It's about what happens on the practice field and getting ready to play. So I understand that, and I think it's an important part of the job.
For all the negativity that you may think you hear or your family may think they hear, we hear a lot of positivity from the callers who call our station that actually do believe in you and do feel like you can be the leader of the Giants and that you can be the second coming of Eli Manning. So you should know that there are people like our guy over here, Stephen Waldron.
Was worried you were going to fall back.
He didn't want you to fall off the chair because you're the one that's throwing the football, and he actually still believes in you. So there is a lot of positivity around you, although it may not seem that way.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I get more questions about the negative and how I deal with that, how I handle that. But, you see people around or family, friends, coaches, people you've had, there's been a lot of support and people who've had my back. So, I appreciate that. And to me, that's more motivating and more inspiring than, proving people wrong is proving all those people right and making sure, I'm ready to go and show my appreciation for them.
Have you thought about the opening game against Minnesota? I would imagine it's got to be in the front of your mind. Just thinking about what it's going to be like stepping back on that field in front of your fans against a team that you beat in the playoffs 2 years ago that you have a good history against them. I'm just wondering your thought process going into game one this year. Got to be excited.
Yeah, obviously, right? I'm excited. I spent a lot of time thinking about it and looking forward to it. I think, it's a different team in Minnesota, a different defense than the one we played a couple years ago.
Thank God. But I grew up a Vikings fan, so you tearing them apart was a rough scene for me, and it was one of probably the best days of your life.
Well, but yeah, so I'm excited. I'm excited about the first week and getting going. We got a couple important weeks here to finish up camp, but yeah, definitely excited.
You know what? If you guys look like you did at the end of the second quarter, or actually from the mid-second quarter on, that's going to be an exciting offense. I mean, this offense, unfortunately, last year anyway, bottom half of the league, bottom third of the league, actually, in a lot of different statistics. We didn't see a lot of big plays from that offense, especially after you had left. I'm thinking that you got to be jacked up, excited, and confident about what you got now around you, especially with your offensive line and with Malik Neighbors, a part of your wide receiving core.
Yeah, 100%. I think, over the course of camp, we've improved and made a lot of plays. I think, like you've heard, we've, been trying to push the ball down the field. And I think the guys up front, excited about some of the guys we brought in there who've really played well and allow us to do that. And then, we mentioned that, Malik and the receivers playing well too. So it's a, as from playing, it's a group thing. Everyone's got to be on the same page. You got to be able to execute at each spot. And, I'm excited about it.
I know you and Saquon are close. What's it been like not having him here for the first time in your career?
Yeah, anytime you spend as much time as we did together, and he's a great teammate, great friend, great player, obviously. So, different not having him around, and But the guys we've had, and Devin's come in and done a great job. He's a true pro, really good player. So it's been fun working with him. But it's definitely been different.
Watching the game the other day, I was listening to Phil Simms. He's a pain in the ass, isn't he? He really is. He's just a pain in the ass. I don't know how you deal with it. I'm sure you've had a lot of conversations with him going into these games. He asks a million questions. I'm sure he's talking about your footwork, talking about your hips, talking about getting the arm over the top. I mean, just got to be a pain in the neck dealing with him.
No, he's a smart guy. Lucky to have him around.
Lucky to have Phil. Stop.
He's been around more this year, which has been fun to talk to him, spend some time with him.
It's so much better to have him here than where I used to be with him. It actually gives me some time off and a little time to breathe, if you will.
Yeah, absence makes the heart grow fonder, right?
Well, not for me, maybe for him. But Daniel's got to deal with him now.
Yeah, I know, but I'm sure Phil's a different Phil around Daniel than he is you.
Yeah, but every time he comes into your facility here, what do you see? There's Phil Simms on the right. There's Phil Simms on the left. He's all over the place.
Well, what would he say about you? Is he?
He loves
you
me.
Think he misses you?
Yeah, I know he does because he calls me and he bothers me.
Sure.
I sent him a text during the game this week. By the way, I said, do they have makeup or no?
You could see through him.
You can see actually through him on the broadcast. Yes.
Yeah. He's not a makeup guy. I respect that.
Okay.
I respect that. A couple more minutes here with Daniel Jones. I wanted to ask you this last year, and I remember when the interview ended, I was like, man, I forgot about that. Do you feel like when you came in here from a media standpoint and dealing with guys like us and the press conferences that people told you to be like Eli too much? Like, because he handled things so well with the media, I feel like everybody's like, well, just do it the way Eli did it with the media. Do it the way Eli did it. Did people tell you that when you first got here?
I don't, not directly or not over and over again where I felt like I really needed to do that. I think, more than anything, I watched him in a lot of ways and thought, what he did was smart, and he had a lot of success doing it. So, there were ways I tried to kind of emulate some of those things, but I think personality-wise, maybe we have some similarities too that kind of showed itself through the media. But it wasn't like a hard, you do exactly what Eli does and you'll be okay type message. No.
I'll never forget. I started on this radio program in 2007, and I believe it was Eli's third year in the league. And right in the middle of the season, people were calling up saying, we got to get rid of Eli. We got to get rid of Eli. And they miraculously go on this run, and he wins the Super Bowl MVP that year. When Phil Simms started here, he got benched, he got hurt, he got benched again, he got hurt again. And there's a lot of similarities when I see all three of you guys. I'm like, there's issues that you've all had to deal with. Some of it has been very loud and very negative. But for some reason, Phil and Eli have been able to fight through that. So you have two examples of two great quarterbacks in this organization that have gone through a lot of what you have gone through in your young career. So there is an opportunity for you to do exactly what they've done.
Yeah, I mean,
have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, I think that, like we talked about, playing in New York is different, and there's, there's more media scrutiny. The fans have a high level of expectation for what this team is, what this organization has done because of the tradition of winning around here. So, I understand that, and I mean, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it's interesting because you do such a great job in not creating headlines or anything with these press conferences. For example, we were at Jets camp, and I told Rob Saleh he's got to stop talking sometimes because he talks himself into these headlines. So you've never done that. But then also, I don't think you've said enough to the point, like, I don't even think I know who you are. You know what I'm saying? Because you've been so reserved, and, like, your personality doesn't come out. And it's a fine line to walk when you're a quarterback in New York, because you don't want to be the guy that says something that creates a headline, but you also don't want to be the guy that people are like, well, I don't even know who Daniel Jones is. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
because I feel like every year it's like the same,
listen, when he hangs out with Eli Manning in West Hampton, we know who he is.
But the fans don't see that, and we don't see that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
And, like, I think that there's a little bit of that could the fans want to see some more of that, but not so much where you get in trouble.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the advice, Gio. Maybe I'll think about that and think about how I present myself.
Well, I feel like I want to know more about you.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know. I think there's a balance to it, and always trying to think through that, what the best way to handle that, and appreciate your advice. I don't know if
Let's get lunch today. What do you think? Well, me and you'll get some lunch.
Here it is, Daniel. You know, it's all right to throw your helmet. Let's put it that way on the sideline. If Coach gets in your face, it's okay for you to get into his face. That's the only thing I can tell you. It's your team, man.
You're getting the coach's face.
That's right. Hey, it's your team, man. It's your team. It's your reputation. That's what it's all about. At the end of the day, you're the unquestioned leader. You do have the respect of your players. I think you do handle yourself professionally, but you've been amazing in that regard. It's just that, unfortunately, injury gets in the way, and that creates the inconsistency, I think.
Yeah.
Well, so just throw the helmet once or twice, and everybody will love you.
Maybe I'll throw my helmet, and I'll think about Gio's advice.
I'm telling you, man. I think there are a lot of Giant fans that really, really like you. And I think it's because they see the talent and they see that game in Minnesota. You watch that game back. I actually was watching some of the highlights of that the other day. I mean, it's if you woke up out of a coma and watched Daniel play in that game, like that's the best quarterback in the NFL. Like that's how well you played in that game. So that's why I think the potential of you staying healthy the entire year and doing it again. That's why a lot of Giant fans are excited about this offense this year. And a lot of touchdowns to Malik Neighbors and a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it.
Yes. Listen, Daniel, great to see you. Thanks for coming on with us. I know that there's a lot of expectations and a lot of heavy, responsibility on your shoulders, but I think you can handle it.
I can.
Go out there and have a hell of a season, man.
Good. We're excited.
I hope
about
so.
it and looking forward to getting out there.
All right, Daniel. Thanks. Good luck,
All right,
man. All the best. Daniel Jones, Giants starting quarterback, of course, on the Fan and CBS Sports Network.